This is not financial advice. I'm recording my thoughts about Palantir. Palantir stock is up about 17% after they've announced their Q4 2022 results today, and they are finally profitable. Palantir said that it marks their first ever quarter to have positive GAAP net income. This is definitely a pivotal moment for Palantir. For the fourth quarter of 2022, they grew their revenue by about 18%, and for the full financial year of 2022, they grew their revenue by about 24%. They made about 1.91 billion. Remember that Palantir CEO said they could grow 30% year on year until 2025, right? But that claim is gone now. They are no more committing to that 30%. So here we are at 24% year on year. But this 24% growth is not even anticipated in the next year. For financial year of 2023, Palantir is saying they can make about $2.18 billion to about $2.23 billion of revenue, and that only represents about 14 to 16% revenue growth year on year. So that is nowhere near 30%, which they have anticipated a few quarters ago. But the good news is they said they're going to have positive GAAP net income, but we'll see how that pans out. One positive point about Palantir is that they have a very good balance sheet. They have about $2.6 billion of cash and almost no debt. So they have a lot of runway in the coming few years. Even if they make loss, they can sustain. Before we go into the valuation of whether to buy this stock at $9 or not, let's just look at their stock-based compensation and the dilution. So if you look into the past few quarters, by the end of 2021, they had about 2.013 billion outstanding shares, but by the end of this year, they have about 2.1 billion outstanding shares. So that's about 5% dilution year on year. So they are giving stock-based compensation of about $150 million each quarter, but they are not buying it back. This dilution caused by stock-based compensation is going to hurt the shareholders, but the company do not want to help the shareholders. They just want to keep the cash for future. Now let's come to the point of whether to buy this stock at $9 or not. And for that, I have to do a 2027 evaluation. In that, for 2023, I'm assuming they can get to 2.23 billion. For financial year of 2023, Palantir is saying they can only grow 14 to 16% in revenue, right? But after 2024, I'm assuming that things will get better for them, and US dollar is going to get weaker when compared to the European currencies. So that's going to be a positive news for Palantir. So my assumption is 20% growth rate from 2024 onwards till 2027. So with that, they could make about $4.62 billion of revenue in 2027. Palantir has gross margins north of 80%. So if they want to, they can achieve 30% net profit margins comfortably. So I'm assuming 30% net profit margins, with which they can make about $1.39 billion of net income in 2027. And for a company that's growing at 20% and have net profit margin of 30%, I think people can pay about 27.5 multiple, with which this company would be worth about $38 billion in 2027. Currently, they have about 2.1 billion outstanding shares, right? So I'm assuming that they'll continue to dilute our shareholders by 5% year on year, and that's going to make about 2.68 billion outstanding shares in 2027. The 2027 stock price would be about $14, but wait, the stock price is about $8.89 now, right? So that's about 60% gain in 5 years with reasonable risk. But if they can grow at about 25% instead of 20%, this company's stock price would be worth about $17, and that's close to 90% gain in 5 years. But when I want to make an investment decision, I need to have reasonable assumptions, right? So I'm going with $14 stock price in 2027. So for this company, since they have a great balance sheet and their sticky business, because I could see their dollar retention rate and net retention rate, they are really good. And they have a good penetration in the government sector, and in the private sector, they're just starting, right? So I'm comfortable investing in this company if I can achieve 100% gain on my investment in 5 years. Because this company has potential to grow about 30% as well, right? So if things go really well, they can even grow their revenue by 30%, and then I can triple my investment. So I still see this as a medium to high risk investment after they have made their profit this quarter. So I'm going to buy this stock if it falls below $7. but I'm not going to buy crazy amount at $7. I'm going to buy a little bit. In full disclosure, by the way, I do own Palantir at about $7.4. You have seen my portfolio. In conclusion, I can say this is a good quarter for Palantir, and at $9 a share, I'm not going to add because I'm anticipating $14 in 2027, and I don't like that 60% gain for the risk that I'm taking. So I'll wait for it to recede to about $7, at which I will take a good amount of position, and if it goes to like $4 or $5, I'll put significant amount of money